From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day. This is Dateline Malacañang in review. As the country hosts this year's Asia-Pacific Ministerial Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction, or APMCDRR, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Monday received the Deputy Prime Ministers and representatives of the United Nations or UN in a courtesy call at the President's Hall in Malacañang Palace. During their meeting, the President expressed his sincerest hopes for the conference to provide countless opportunities for participating countries to come up with actionable insights anchored in addressing the impacts of climate change, not only in the Philippines, but in other nations as well. Highlighting the country's vulnerability to the climate crisis, President Marcos Jr. emphasized the need to effectively implement strategies to reduce disaster risks. He urged the delegates to continuously engage in collaborative efforts to develop adaptive measures and solutions. This year's APM-CDRR centers on the theme Surge to 2030, Enhancing Ambition in Asia-Pacific to Accelerate Disaster Risk Reduction, which convenes various governments, international groups, national and civil society organizations, the private sector, and the academe to share innovative practices, lessons, and ideas aimed at reducing disaster and climate risks in the world's most disaster-prone regions. The Department of the Environment and Natural Resources, or DNR, and the Office of Civil Defense, or OCD, in partnership with the United Nations Office for Disaster Risk Reduction, or UNDRR, are hosting the APM-CDRR 2024 from the 14th to the 18th of October, held at the Philippine International Convention Center, or PICC.
Dateline Malacañang.
Meanwhile, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Monday evening participated in the 2024 Asia-Pacific Ministerial Conference for Disaster Risk Reduction, or APM-CDRR's Ministerial Dinner, held at the Philippine International Convention Center, or PICC, in Pasay City. In his speech, the President said, the conference came at an opportune time as the Philippines, because of its geographical location, stood on the front line of the climate crisis as the country is exposed to hazards such as typhoons, earthquakes, tsunamis, and volcanic eruptions. According to President Marcos, the whole world can count on the Philippines to lead the fight against climate change. Let us listen to the speech of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. during the event.
I would like to extend a warm welcome to all of you as we gather here in Manila for the 2024 Asia-Pacific Ministerial Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction. It is an honor for the Philippines to host this gathering of experts, scientists, policymakers, practitioners, bound together by a common purpose. For many years, the Philippines has stood on the front line of the climate crisis. Our geographical location exposes us to hazards such as typhoons, earthquakes, tsunamis, and volcanic eruptions. Each of these challenges has tested the resilience of every Filipino and the strength of our spirit as a nation, as of course it has done to your countries as well. Yes, yet it is through these very trials that we have become more resolute and resolved in advancing data-driven and sustainable solutions to protect the well-being of all our people. This conference comes at a time when our work to implement the Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction is more urgent than ever. Here we can learn from each other, strengthen partnerships, identify innovative ideas, and adopt best practices. Our vision is clear: to reduce disaster risks and losses, and in doing so, protect lives, livelihoods, and the social and economic assets that underpin our societies. At the heart of our efforts, all our efforts, is climate change, an issue that we have integrated in our national and regional policies. From investment strategies to policy implementation, disaster risk reduction and climate change adaptation and mitigation are now central to how we shape our future. I think it would not be an exaggeration to say that amongst the government workers, whenever there is a discussion or a planning session, there is no longer even a single conversation that we have that does not include an aspect of adaptation, mitigation to climate change. That is how primordial it has become in our everyday lives. However, the increasing frequency and severity of national hazards call for deeper innovation, for closer cooperation, and for sustained commitment from all of us. Through this conference, we are presented with the opportunity to explore new avenues of collaboration, especially in leveraging science and technology to alleviate the impact of climate change and ensuring that disaster risk reduction financing is accessible to all. By harmonizing all of our efforts, I trust we can build an Asia-Pacific region that is truly adaptive, inclusive, resilient, and sustainable. To the future that we are shaping through this conference, and I invite you, everyone, to join me for a toast. In pursuit of mitigating disaster risks, where nations rise above adversity, here is to best practices and the lasting and deeper friendship among our country and our people towards a sustainable future where no one is left behind. Cheers.
You just heard Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
In other news, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Monday had the privilege of speaking with United Arab Emirates or UAE President His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. During the conversation, President Marcos expressed his heartfelt gratitude for the UAE's invaluable support, particularly the aid provided during recent disasters and the generous pardon of 143 Filipinos, which has brought relief to many families. The two leaders reaffirmed the strong people-to-people ties between the Philippines and the UAE and discussed opportunities to further enhance bilateral cooperation in the future. Recently, the Philippine Embassy in the UAE, together with the Philippine Consulate General in Dubai and Migrant Workers Office, or MWO, in Abu Dhabi and Dubai, assisted the 36 Filipinos who have availed of the UAE amnesty program and were successfully repatriated to the Philippines. This is the fifth batch of repatriation flight arranged by the Philippine Embassy and Department of Migrant Workers, or DMW, since the start of the amnesty program. A total of 236 overseas Filipino, including overseas Filipino workers or OFWs and minors, have availed of the UAE amnesty program and decided to go home to the Philippines with their overstaying fines waived by the UAE government. The Philippine Embassy is encouraging Filipinos to visit the Philippine Embassy in Abu Dhabi and Philippine Consulate General in Dubai to initiate the process of updating their status in accordance with UAE immigration laws.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Tuesday delivered a keynote address at the opening ceremony of the Asia-Pacific Ministerial Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction, or APM-CDRR 2024, held at the Philippine International Convention Center, or PICC, in Pasay City. Hosted by the Government of the Philippines in partnership with the United Nations Office for Disaster Risk Reduction, or UNDRR, the APM-CDRR serves as the main platform in Asia and the Pacific in monitoring, reviewing, and enhancing cooperation for the implementation of the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction 2015 to 2030, the global blueprint for preventing and reducing new and existing disaster risks in the world's most disaster-prone regions. The conference brought together governments, intergovernmental, international, national and civil society organizations, the private sector, science, academia, and stakeholder groups to accelerate progress in reducing disaster risk. With the theme Surge to 2030, Enhancing Ambition in Asia-Pacific to Accelerate Disaster Risk Reduction, the conference aims to provide an important opportunity to review risk reduction efforts, share innovative solutions, and make actionable commitments to accelerate disaster risk reduction by 2030. Let us listen to the speech of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. during the event.
Good morning to you all, and a very warm welcome to the Philippines. We are a nation that is an archipelagic one consisting of over 7,600 islands, and we take pride in our beaches, in our world-class diving sites, our breathtaking landscape, and all this draws visitors from all over the globe. But while nature has gifted us with natural wonders, it also reminds us of its formidable power over and over again. Unfortunately, our beautiful country is located along the Pacific Typhoon Belt, in the midst of the Pacific Ring of Fire. We are visited by more than 20 tropical cyclones and experience around 500 magnitude 4.0 and above earthquakes in 1 year. We also have around 24 active volcanoes. These are compounded by the increasing frequencies of hazards brought about by climate change, which makes the Philippines at risk and making our landscape even more complex, our people even more vulnerable. Much has been said about the resilience of Filipino spirit, but let us remember that strength was forged out of adversity over centuries of facing storms and earthquakes, adapting and rising once again with a renewed vision and purpose. Just recently, the southwest monsoon, or habagat, enhanced by Typhoon Gaimi, locally known as Karina, inflicted more than $82 million in agricultural damage. That figure only scratches the surface. The true measure of our losses lies in the human cost, the homes that have been destroyed and have to be rebuilt, the livelihoods that have been lost that may never come back, and the lives irrevocably changed. Resilience and sustainability must underpin the national agenda of our economy. This recognizes that all our efforts in economic planning are fragile in the face of calamities and disasters. For us, the stakes are existential, the consequences generational, and the policy environment increasingly complex. However, this narrative is not unique to the Philippines. Across the Asia-Pacific region, nations like ours grapple with similar trials. We share a common struggle, navigating the balance between continued economic growth and dealing with the ever-present threat of disasters. The Asia-Pacific region also stands as a testament to the unwavering spirit of its people. From the tsunami in the Indian Ocean to Typhoon Haiyan in the Pacific Ocean, from the earthquakes in Nepal to floods in South Asia, our nations have conquered monumental challenges. Still, we remain as the world's engine of growth, steering the global economic recovery in the wake of the pandemic. We must strive to create a future where the need for recovery becomes less frequent, as we lay the foundations for a safer, more adaptive, inclusive, and disaster-resilient region. So as we convene for the 2024 Asia-Pacific Ministerial Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction, we find ourselves at a critical juncture. With the theme Surge to 2030, Enhancing Ambition in Asia-Pacific to Accelerate Disaster Risk Reduction, we are now called to lead the global effort to reduce disaster and climate risks, protect our people, and build sustainable economies. The Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction 2015 to 2030 gave the international community profound guidance in our disaster risk reduction efforts. Our path now is to redouble and to synergize our efforts to accelerate its implementation. It also remains crucial to align our goals under this framework with the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals, the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, and the Paris Agreement. We must harmonize our approaches and pursue meaningful actions under these mandates to secure a sustainable and climate-resilient future. The surge to 2030 involves key steps. We must significantly increase our investments and develop financing mechanisms in disaster risk reduction. Sustained and predictable data and financing would help address disaster risk better. This entails ensuring that developing countries, particularly the least developed countries, landlocked countries, and small island developing states are provided greater access to these resources to advance their policies and build disaster resilience. For our part, the Philippines, as a climate champion, humbly accepts the role as steward of the board of the fund for responding to loss and damage. This reinforces our commitment to improving the board's operations and to contribute to the success of its institutional architecture. We are hopeful for a fund that will benefit climate-vulnerable countries, many of whom are in our region. Equally importantly, we enforce the guidelines on the issuance of green and blue bonds. Our green bond market has been recognized by the Asian Development Bank for its potential to expand even further. Our country's most promising sectors for growth comprise renewable energy, green buildings, sustainable agriculture, and water management. Given our archipelagic nature and the looming threat of climate change, investing in the blue bond market is also essential to ensuring the responsible stewardship of our natural wealth, the safeguarding of our coastal communities, and the sustainable growth of industries like fisheries and tourism. Second, we must embrace inclusion. Disasters disproportionately impact people, and they exacerbate existing inequalities. Building stronger societies requires addressing the needs of the most vulnerable, the very young, the very old, the sick, the indigenous peoples, marginalized communities. We must ensure that every voice is heard and every person is empowered to contribute to disaster risk reduction and receives the assistance that they need if the time comes. Third, we must acknowledge that climate change and disasters are catalysts for human displacement. This necessitates forward-thinking policies that create safe pathways for migration and to support those displaced by disasters so that they can rebuild their lives with dignity and security. On our side, we remain steadfast in empowering our local authorities and working closely with our youth to implement nature-based and ecosystem-centered solutions that not only address their unique challenges, but also honor their local traditions and practices. Fourth, innovation must be at the heart of all our strategies. Advancements in technology, data analytics, early warning systems can revolutionize our disaster preparedness and our response. Fifth, coordination and collaboration are the cornerstones of our whole-of-nation approach. By engaging all of our stakeholders, we ensure that we collectively identify the needs, address the gaps, and anticipate the risks ahead of us. And six, fostering open dialogue is essential in bringing our sectors together, promoting both convergence and coherence in our efforts. As such, we carry out regular assessments, regular critiques, ensuring that our policies on disaster risk reduction remain consistent and effective. And seventh, we place great value on the engagement of our private sector, particularly in advancing investments and practices in environmental, social, and governance areas. Through collaborative research, information sharing, and innovative financing, we continue to strengthen and deepen our partnerships with these key stakeholders. And finally, we must advocate for stronger international legal frameworks that guide disaster prevention and response. The Philippines is proud to lead the initiative towards developing an international legal instrument for the protection of persons in the event of disasters. This endeavor aims to fill critical gaps in international disaster response laws, uphold the rights and dignity of affected persons, establish clearer obligations, and enhance humanitarian coordination. As we chart our course to a more inclusive and resilient Asia-Pacific, let us draw inspiration from the stories of resilience that are embedded in our region, from communities that rebuilt after Typhoon Haiyan, to cities that fortify their infrastructure after earthquakes, to grassroots organizations that equip citizens with life-saving skills. We are surrounded by many good examples of what is attainable when we act with foresight, determination, and purpose. And finally, this conference presents us with a grand opportunity to send a powerful message to the world. The Asia-Pacific is not only prepared to overcome the trials of tomorrow, we are also ready to lead in disaster risk reduction and climate action. As you take part in this important conference, I encourage everyone to experience the beauty and the culture of our country. You will soon discover that the strength of our nation lies not only in the efficiency of our policies, but also in the indomitable spirit of our communities and the innate warmth of our people. I wish you a fruitful and inspiring confidence. Thank you all very much.
You just heard Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang on Tuesday said that the Philippines and Malaysia have expressed interest in strengthening their collaboration on education and disaster response efforts. The plan for stronger collaboration was raised when President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. met with Dr. Ahmad Zahid bin Hamidi, Malaysia's Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Rural and Regional Development, at Malacañang Palace in Manila on Monday. In a social media post, the Presidential Communications Office, or PCO, said the President and Hamidi discussed how the Philippines and Malaysia can work together to strengthen disaster resilience. Hamidi mentioned a Malaysian special group called Smart Team, which could be sent to the Philippines during typhoons and disasters with the President's approval. The chief executive welcomed Malaysia's very generous offer and hoped it could be done as soon as everyone is ready for that. In a Facebook post, President Marcos said he exchanged views on disaster risk reduction and management and grateful for Malaysia's offer to collaborate in this critical sector for future disaster response and rescue efforts. President Marcos said they also discussed their intent to develop skilled workforces in line with technological advances through technical education. The PCO said the Philippine President and Malaysian Deputy Prime Minister both acknowledge that it is vital to have more technical and skilled workforce to respond to the changing world and usher development. Both the Philippines and Malaysia are member states of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN.
Dateline Malacañang.
In other news, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Wednesday renewed his call for the passage of the proposed measure on the rationalization of the Philippine mining regime to ensure a sustainable and vibrant mining industry. Speaking at the 2023 Philippine Mineral Industry Environmental Award, or PMIEA, in Malacañang Palace, the President said the bill on the rationalization of the mining fiscal regime, one of his priority legislations, is fundamental to creating a fair and equitable mining environment for everyone involved. The chief executive said his administration aims to foster a deeper commitment to sustainability within industries, particularly in mining, boost local value addition through mineral processing, strengthen environmental safeguards, and ensure that communities are genuine beneficiaries of the wealth generated from mining operations. In his message, President Marcos congratulated the 13 mining company awardees for setting the bar high in embodying what it means to create value that extends beyond profit. The award, established by Executive Order or EO number 399, recognizes companies for their exemplary performance in environmental protection, safety and health, and social development in the mining sector. It is the highest environmental accolade for the mineral industry, reflecting the Philippines government's commitment to upholding sustainable development principles. Let us listen to the speech of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. during the event.
As I stand before you at this 2023 Presidential Mineral Industry Environmental Award ceremonial awarding, I'm struck by a powerful truth. True progress, anchored on responsibility, paves the way for a more sustainable future. The Philippines, as one of the most mineral-rich countries in the world, has a unique opportunity to leverage its natural resources for national development. But this can only be done if we ensure that the wealth that we generate is shared equitably, that our ecosystems are safeguarded, and that local communities are empowered. Today, we honor the companies that have demonstrated that mining in the country is more than just extracting resources. It's about giving back as well. Giving back to the environment, giving back to the community, and giving to the future generations who will inherit this planet. Established in 1997 by Executive Order number 399, the PMIEA promotes private sector participation in enhancing our government's environmental management efforts. Each year, this award highlights the exemplary efforts of mining groups and companies that have achieved safe, environmentally sound, and socially responsible operations. This ceremony is a celebration of your commitment and your responsibility. It is a tribute to those who see mining as a profound opportunity to uplift communities and ensure environmental sustainability for generations to come. Last year, our selection committee carefully assessed the accomplishments of 35 companies, and after rigorous evaluation, 13 mining and mineral processing companies shone brightly as recipients of the 2023 PMIEA. These awardees have shown commendable support for our vision for the mining sector. You continue to invest in environmental technologies and adopt best practices that go even beyond compliance. From pioneering reforestation efforts to utilizing more sustainable extraction techniques. And of course, Your meaningful contributions to the host and neighboring communities through education, healthcare, and livelihood programs are truly inspiring. These initiatives demonstrate how we can unite the industry with the goals of social and environmental progress. We must not grow complacent, however, because as the world transitions to clean energy, the demand for critical minerals is surging. And in the emerging landscape, our country's abundant resources places us in a prime position to lead the way. But to truly harness this potential, we must invest in the infrastructure and the technology required to process these minerals domestically. And at the same time, it is imperative that we adopt mining practices that prioritize the environment to ensure that our extraction processes are clean, efficient, and restore the land that has been mined. We must also foster innovation by driving research into new methods of mineral processing, methods that reduce waste and energy consumption. As we look ahead, I urge all our dedicated agencies and esteemed members of Congress to support the rationalization of the mining fiscal regime. This crucial bill, which I highlighted in my 2023 SONA, is fundamental to creating a fair and equitable mining environment for everyone involved. It is equally vital for the DNR to strengthen regulatory capabilities for all mining operations to ensure compliance with safety and environmental standards. Initiatives such as the Administrative Order number 2022-204, which mandates biodiversity management in mining operations, along with the establishment of the National Environment and Natural Resources Geospatial Database, reflect our commitment to responsible practices. The signing of the Philippine Ecosystem and Natural Capital Accounting System, or PENCAS, Act in May 2024 further emphasizes our dedication to sustainable resource management. This landmark legislation ensures that a robust system is in place to quantify and to integrate the value of our country's national assets into national economic planning and decision-making. This will enable us to better balance economic gains with environmental protection and guarantee that the true cost of resource extraction is accounted for. In doing so, we aim to foster a deeper commitment to sustainability within industries, particularly in mining, and to create a landscape where responsible companies such as yours are recognized for leadership and for your innovation. Furthermore, we continue to refine and enhance our mining policies to reflect these priorities. We plan to boost local value addition through mineral processing, strengthen environmental safeguards, and ensure that communities are genuine beneficiaries of the wealth generated from mining operations. We want to see more investments in processing plants, creating more jobs and contributing more directly to local economies. This framework complements the PENCAS law by ensuring that resource development and economic activities are aligned with our broader sustainability goals. Further, we are working to align social development and management program more closely with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. This aims to enhance the SDMP's effectiveness so that it can drive meaningful and positive change within the mining communities. To our awardees today, you have set a high bar, embodying what it means to create value that extends beyond profit and demonstrating to the public that it is not enough to just meet regulations. You must strive to go beyond them. I encourage you to be ambassadors of responsible mining. Share your experiences and best practices, not only with your peers, but with the next generation of miners, engineers, and environmentalists. With a continued partnership amongst the government, industry, and local communities, there is no doubt that the bagong Pilipinas will emerge as a global leader in responsible mining. Again, congratulations to all the 2023 PMIA awardees. Maraming salamat sa inyong pagsisikap na ipagpatuloy ang ating pagbantay sa ating kalikasan. And thank you for all the efforts. Congratulations. Maraming salamat at mabuhay ang bagong Pilipinas.
You just heard Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Wednesday approved the Department of Health or DOH's flagship program to rebuild a resilient and responsive healthcare system during the National Economic and Development Authority or NEDA board meeting at the Malacañang Palace. Dubbed the Philippines Health System Resilience Project Phase 1, the program seeks to enhance health emergency prevention, preparedness, and response in vulnerable areas in the country. Health Secretary Chodoro Herbosa presented the project. According to the President, who serves as chair of the NEDA board, the 27.921 billion peso project serves as an application of lessons learned during the pandemic. The program is also geared toward building an enabling environment, project management, monitoring and evaluation, and contingency emergency response component or CERC. Likewise, it will prioritize areas in the country with poor access to healthcare. The Health Department has already identified 17 provinces for its pilot run.
Dateline Malacañang.
Meanwhile, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Wednesday also approved the Mindanao Transport Connectivity Improvement Project or MTCIP during the National Economic and Development Authority or NEDA board meeting at the Malacañang Palace. In its 21st meeting convened by the President, the NEDA board gave its nod to the MTCIP of the Department of Public Works and Highways or DPWH. According to a news release by the Presidential Communications Office or PCO, the chief executive said he wants to proceed with the project as this is one of the main road programs in Mindanao. DPWH Secretary Manuel Bonoan said, the MTCIP will support the department's goal to enhance the transport network in Mindanao, benefiting the agricultural sector of the country. Bonoan added that the MTCIP is part of the Master Plan for High Standard Highway Network Development Project, which identifies major projects that would be developed from North Luzon, Central Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. The MTCIP is a comprehensive initiative to enhance road infrastructure in the main corridor, a vital national highway network linking the cities of Cagayan de Oro, Davao, and General Santos. It is expected to generate a wide array of socio-economic benefits for the communities along the main corridor and beyond. The MTCIP aims to improve access to markets, increase trade opportunities, and enhance connectivity for residents and businesses, which will give a big boost to the overall economic growth and development of Mindanao. The project is seen to improve the transportation network in Mindanao, facilitate the transport of agricultural goods from isolated areas, preserve the long-term value of road assets, and minimize the expenses associated with routine and periodic road maintenance. It will also interconnect northern Mindanao, Davao, and Soc-Sargen regions. The project, which will be funded by the World Bank, has at least 5 components before its completion in 2030. The DPWH said it would continue the Rural Roads Program beyond 2030, noting these projects have been economically viable with internal economic benefit.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Wednesday expressed appreciation to the Israeli government for its swift assistance to Filipinos amid the escalating tension in the Middle East. This, as the president shared on his official Facebook page, a picture of him having a phone call with Israeli President Isaac Herzog. It was not fully disclosed what President Marcos and President Herzog had discussed during the phone call. The chief executive nevertheless said Israel remains one of the Philippines' trusted bilateral partners in the Middle East region, citing the two nations' historic friendship that predates the establishment of the Israeli state. President Marcos Jr. hoped that peace would finally prevail in the conflict-affected regions in the Middle East. The president earlier urged Filipinos in Israel and Lebanon to avail of the Philippine government's repatriation program while flights are still available. President Marcos said the Department of Foreign Affairs, or DFA, will expedite the repatriation efforts, while the Overseas Workers Welfare Administration, or OWA, will be chartering the flights to bring home the distressed overseas Filipino workers, or OFWs. At least 162 distressed OFWs from Israel are expected to return home this October.
Dateline Malacañang.
In other news, reaffirming the national government's efforts to improve infrastructure across the nation, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Thursday led the inauguration of the Sorsogon Sports Arena, or SSA, in the province of Sorsogon. In his keynote speech during the inauguration of the SSA in Sorsogon City, the president said the 1.2 billion peso sports facility will serve as a training camp for Filipino athletes joining national and international competitions. The chief executive said the SSA is crucial in empowering the athletes and maximizing their potential. Situated in the heart of Sorsogon City, the SSA is patterned after Rome's famous Colosseum landmark. It is part of the 7.1-hectare Sorsogon Sports Complex and has a seating capacity of 15,000 with the potential to accommodate up to 20,000 for full-house sports activities. Let us listen to the speech of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. during the event.
Maraming salamat po. Isang napakainit po na pagtanggap at pagsalubong ninyo sa akin dito sa Sorsogon. At ngayon lang po ang nakakita ng ganito, nagsasayaw ng ganito karaming tao. At akala ko, yung sumasayaw lamang ang nandito sa baba. Bago napun ako, pati yung nakaupo, sabay-sabay gumagalaw yung mga kamay. Kaya magbabago ang ibig sabihin ng tinatawag na audience participation. Dahil hindi na kayo audience, kasi kasama na kayo sa mga dancer. Maraming salamat po. Kaya tinitiyak ko ulit, sigurado ba kayo na diyan kayo sa araw? Akong nahihirapan sa inyo. Bago ang lahat, nais ko munang batiin ang lahat ng masusuganon sa inyong ika-130 anibersaryo ng pagtatatag ng inyong lalawigan at sa ika-50 Kasanggayahan Festival. Sa araw na ito, muli tayong nagsama-sama upang pasinayan ang Sorsogon Sports Arena na ipinagmamalaki ng buong Bicol Region ngayon. Sa pagtataya kaya ng arena na ito na may upo ang aabot sa 12,000 katao. Marami rin itong gagamitin bilang national training camp sa mga atletang Pilipino. At sa pagkaunawa ko, yung sinasabing 12,000, doon lang sa taas. Kung isasama mo yun dito sa baba, napakalaki. Kaya totoo nga, hindi tayo magtataka na ito ang pinag-uusapan ng mga Bicolano pagka tinatanong kung ano yung bagong mga na itatayo, ang bagong pangyayari dito sa inyong region. Ito ay isang mahalagang hakbang upang maitaguyod natin ang ating mga kababayan na may angking galing sa larangan ng palakasan. Sa tulong nito, mabibigyan sila ng pagkakataon upang mahasa pa ang kanilang mga talento. Harinawa ay maidagdag pa natin sila sa hanay ng ating Olympian at atletang Pinoy. Lalayo pa ba tayo sa inyong lalawigan? Mayroon tayong manlalaro mula sa kaagang si Ginoong Isidro del Prado. Siya ay nagpamalas ng galing sa 400-meter dash noong 1984 Olympics na ginanap sa Los Angeles sa USA. Sa bawat hakbang ng kanyang karera, itinampok niya ang tapang, katatagan at determinasyon. Mga katangiang nagbubuklod at nagtataguyod sa ating bilang nagkakaisang bansa. Tulad din ng mga Olympian natin na lumahok nitong 2024 na Paris Olympics. Hangarin natin sa pamamagitan ng arena na ito, lalo pang dumami ang mga kababayan natin na magbibigay ng dangal sa ating bansa. Bagamat sports arena ang tawag dito, hindi lamang ito para sa mga larangan ng palakasan. Maaari din itong gamitin para sa pagpupulong, mga summit, konsyerto, mga patimpala. Kaya hindi natin maikakailang simbolo ng progreso ang Sorsogon Sports Arena. Sumasailalim ito sa patuloy na pagsisikap, pagtsatsaga at pag-unlad ng mga Sorsoganon at mga Bicolano. Sa pagkakatanda ko pa, noong ginawa pa lamang ang arena halos 2 taon na nakalipas, si dating Governor at ngayong Senate President si Chis Escudero ang nagpasyal sa akin sa probinsya ninyo. At ngayon, sa pamumuno ni Governor Hamor, masaya akong makita na pinagpapatuloy ninyo na siguradong matatapos ito. Tunay ngang isang halimbawa ito na kung tayo ay nagkakaisa para sa kapakanan ng taong bayan, aasenso hindi lamang ang isang lalawigan, kundi ang buong bansa. Kanina po ay nasaksihan ko sa aking pag-ikot kung paano tayong pinagbubuklod ng ating mga hangarin para sa bayan natin. Isang patunay dito ang Sorsogon National Government Center, isang one-stop shop government center na maglalapit at magpapabilis ng serbisyo sa taong bayan. Ito ay sumusuporta sa layunin ng ating administrasyon na mapadali ang serbisyo publiko at mapadami pa ang namumuhunan sa bansa. Isa pang halimbawa ng pagkakaisa ng layunin ng lokal at nasyonal ay ang pamahalaan ay ang Sampaloc Tenement. Ito ay magsisilbing kanlungan ng ating mga benepisyaryo mula sa Barangay Sampaloc na naaayon naman sa ating hangarin na mabigyan ng maayos at ligtas ng pabahay ang ating mga kababayan. Nag-uumapa ang aking kasiyahan dahil sa tuwing bumibisita ako sa iba't ibang lalawigan, nakikita ko ang pagtatapos ng mga proyekto at pagsisimula ng mga programang aagapay sa ating sambayanan tungo sa tagumpay. Ngunit, parati ko nang sinasabi na marami pa tayong gagawin. Mula pa sa simula, pagkakaisa, ang hangad ko para sa isang mas mabisa at epektibong pamamahala. Kailangan nating magtulungan upang mas marami pang mga bata ang mabakunahan. Higit pang mabubuti ang seguridad ng kapayapaan at mapapababa ang kahirapan sa Sorsogon. Ang ating pagbuklod-buklod ang magbibigay din sa atin ng daan upang matapos ang ibang proyekto sa inyong lugar, katulad ng Sorsogon Provincial Sanitarium Facilities at yung pagpapaganda ng kalsada na papunta sa Bacon Airport. Maaring may pagkakaiba tayo sa paniniwala at sa opinyon, ngunit alam ko na tayo ay pinagbubuklod ng iisang hangarin na may angat ang antas ng pamumuhay ng bawat isang Pilipino. Kaya naman, umaasa ako sa suporta ng mga Pilipino sa tulong ninyo. Alam kong makakamit natin ang mga hangarin natin para sa ikauunlad ng bansa. Muli, pinabati ko po kayo sa isang maligayang pagdiriwang ng Kasanggayahang Festival. Mabuhay ang Sorsogon, mabuhay ang Bicol Region, mabuhay ang bagong Pilipinas. Maraming salamat po at magandang tanghali po sa inyo lahat.
You just heard Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang on Thursday announced that Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has appointed Agrarian Reform Undersecretary Marilyn Barua Yap as the new chairperson of the Civil Service Commission or CSC. Barua Yap replaced former CSC chairperson Carlo Nograles, who resigned earlier this month as he sought to run for mayor of Davao City in the 2025 midterm elections. Based on her appointment paper signed by the president on Wednesday, Barua Yap will serve as CSC chairperson until February 2, 2029. The CSC oversees the civil service system in the Philippines. The new Administrative Code of 1987 mandates the CSC to promote morale, efficiency, integrity, responsiveness, progressiveness, and courtesy in the civil service. Prior to her new appointment, Barua Yap served as Undersecretary of the Department of Agrarian Reform or DAR's Special Concerns Office and External Affairs and Communications Operations Office. Barua Yap also worked as the Secretary General of the House of Representatives. She is the first woman to hold the post at the lower chamber.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang on Friday announced that Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has appointed well-known publisher Dante Francis Ang II as the new chairperson of the Commission on Filipino Overseas or CFO. Presidential Communications Office or PCO Acting Secretary Cesar Chavez confirmed this to Palace reporters on Friday morning. Ang's appointment letter was signed by the President on October 16th. He will replace Romulo Arugay. According to its website, the CFO is an agency under the Office of the President and is responsible for upholding the interests, rights, and welfare of overseas Filipinos and strengthening their ties with the Philippines. Commit to effectively and efficiently deliver gender-responsive policies, programs, and services for the well-being and empowerment of the community of Filipinos overseas. The Commission's mandate is to provide assistance to the President and the Congress of the Philippines in the formulation of policies and measures concerning or affecting Filipinos overseas, develop and implement programs to promote the interests and well-being of Filipinos overseas, serve as a forum for preserving and enhancing the social, economic, and cultural ties of Filipinos overseas with the motherland, and liaise on behalf of Filipinos overseas with appropriate government and private agencies in the transaction of business and similar ventures in the Philippines.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Department of Migrant Workers, or DMW, on Thursday said a total of 45 overseas Filipino workers, or OFWs, together with 2 children, arrived from Lebanon. This brought to 525 the number of Filipinos and 30 dependents repatriated by the Philippine government from the battle-scarred Middle East country since 2023. DMW Secretary Hans Leo Kakdak, along with Health Secretary Chodoro Herbosa, Foreign Affairs Undersecretary Eduardo De Vega, and Social Welfare Assistant Secretary Irene Dumlao, welcomed the OFWs at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport or NAIA Terminal 1. With the intensified fighting in Lebanon, Kakdak assured that the Philippine government, through a government approach, would continue to assist and repatriate Filipinos in Lebanon. Secretary Kakdak said about 364 OFWs are expected to arrive in the country from the Beirut International Airport in the coming days, and about 200 are still obtaining clearance from the Lebanese immigration authorities. Kakdak also assured the repatriated Filipinos of financial assistance. Each returning OFW received 170,000 pesos in cash assistance, 75,000 from the DMW, 75,000 from the Overseas Workers Welfare Administration or OWA, and 20,000 pesos from the Department of Social Welfare and Development or DSWD. The Health Department, on the other hand, will provide them and their dependents with medical examination and psychological intervention first aid. Social workers also interviewed the OFWs to determine their needs and help them cope with their present situation.
Dateline Malacañang.
In other news, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Friday signed the Academic Recovery and Accessible Learning or ARAL Act at the Ceremonial Hall in Malacañang Palace. The ARAL law is among the priority measures identified by the Legislative Executive Development Advisory Council or LEDAC, the consultative and advisory body chaired by President Marcos Jr. on programs and policies essential to achieving the socio-economic goals for the country. It aims to create a free national learning intervention program designed to help struggling learners catch up with the required standards for their grade levels by tapping teachers, para-teachers, and pre-service teachers, or those students enrolled in a teacher degree program offered by teacher education institutions. The ARAL program will be implemented by the Department of Education or DepEd and shall focus on improving students' competencies in essential learning areas, including reading and mathematics for grades 1 to 10 and science for grades 3 to 10. Let us listen to the speech of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. during the event.
Today, at the ceremonial signing of the Academic Recovery and Accessible Learning or ARAL program bill, we embrace a challenge that is as pressing as it is profound. We gather to provide every child in the country with the education that they deserve and that they have a right to, empowering them to shape a future where learning is not a privilege, but it is a right, and where every young mind can flourish. In 2018, the Program for International Student Assessment revealed that a staggering 75% of Filipino learners fell below the minimum proficiency levels in reading, mathematics, and science. This disheartening trend remained alarmingly the same, highlighting the urgency of the learning crisis that we confront today. It is imperative, therefore, that we acknowledge this massive challenge, determine the necessary steps, and prioritize the implementation of learning interventions. On this note, I extend once more to our legislators a vote of appreciation for turning our ideals into concrete measures to further pushing our educational system forward. With the signing of the ARAL law, we embark on a definitive journey to champion the right of every Filipino child to quality education, ensuring as well that it is accessible to all. At the heart of this law lies a steadfast commitment to a free and effective learning intervention for our learners from kindergarten to grade 10 within our public education system. It is available for those who are re-entering school after a hiatus, those grappling with proficiency in reading, mathematics, and science, and those who encounter challenges in passing examinations. Qualified private basic education institutions will likewise receive analogous support for similarly situated learners. Indeed, the ARAL program seeks to confront the broader challenges of mastering essential competencies and recovering from the learning loss through structured tutorial sessions. Beyond stimulating academic achievement, this also will reignite each student's passion and enjoyment for learning. Here, our mission extends beyond mere knowledge acquisition. We aim to foster the empathy and support that every learner rightfully deserves. Aligned with the existing policies of the DepEd, the ARAL program will nurture learners holistically, fortifying their academic foundations and enhance their resilience in the face of adversity. By honing their essential learning competencies, we can equip our students with the foundation skills required to become visionaries, critical thinkers, problem solvers, qualities essential to the progress of our nation in this modern world. Learning, after all, is not confined to the four walls of a classroom. The diverse experiences that our learners encounter will endow them with the wisdom to navigate life's complexities, the courage to venture beyond the familiar, and the confidence to confront every challenge head-on. Our tutors, teachers, para-teachers, pre-service teachers, serve as a foundation of the learning process, and your role is crucial in imparting the values and knowledge essential for the next generation to succeed. To bolster this vision, we are engaging public telecommunications entities to collaborate with us by providing free access to DepEd exclusive learning management systems. This will encompass a multitude of tools, from web-based applications and online educational platforms to digital libraries and other knowledge hubs, fostering continuous learning for both students and educators. Recognizing the needs of disadvantaged learners and their tutors, this law provides subsidized data plans to facilitate access to the resources required for academic success. Moreover, a portion of the mandated allotment in each broadcasting network's daily total airtime will now be utilized for supplemental tutorial videos on essential learning competencies as part of their duty to serve the public good. Lastly, any donation, contribution, or grant made to the ARAL program through the DepEd, whether in cash or in kind, shall be exempt from the donor's tax and considered allowable deductions from the donor's gross income. This initiative is designed to encourage support and partnership from individuals and organizations dedicated to uplifting the quality of education in the Philippines. The success of the ARAL program hinges upon the active participation of the teachers, the tutors, the parents and guardians, local government units, national government agencies, and of course the private sector. To our teachers and program tutors, I urge you to approach our learners with understanding, teach them without bias, and guide them with compassion, for they carry the better future that we all strive for. Employ teaching methods that resonate with their unique needs, their dreams, their aspirations. Your role is not only to educate, but to innovate and to inspire. To parents and guardians, I encourage you to maintain open lines of communications with your children's tutors. Monitor your child's progress and extend to them the support they need to succeed in life. To our LGUs, I call on you to help cultivate a safe and conducive environment for in-person tutorials. Collaborate with the national government in promoting this program by engaging potential tutors, referring qualified candidates, and motivating parents to involve their children in this endeavor. And to our national agencies, you play a vital role in ensuring the smooth implementation of this very important initiative. Promulgate the necessary rules and implement the needed steps to operationalize this law.
At para sa ating mga kabataan, hangad ko na gamitin ninyo ang programang ito upang makamit ninyo ang tagumpay. Bilang ama, edukasyon ang pinakamahalagang pamana na maaari naming iwanan sa inyo. Walang material na bagay na makakatumbas sa halaga ng edukasyon. Ito ay huhubog sa inyong kakayahang harapin ang anumang hamon ng buhay at makapaglingkod ng tapat sa ating bansa. Let us collectively aspire to build a bagong Pilipinas, one where education serves as the cornerstone of our nation's progress. Through our integrated efforts, we can create a future where no learner is left behind, and every Filipino child can flourish in an increasingly complex world.
You just heard Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
And finally, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Friday graced Manila Fame 2024 at the World Trade Center in Pasay City. Running from the 17th to the 19th of October, the exhibit invites international buyers, exhibitors, visitors, and guests to explore a diverse selection of offerings. This year's showcase features exceptional creations from local enterprises, craftsmen, and artisans, highlighting their skill in transforming the Philippines' abundant raw materials into functional and visually captivating pieces that characterize Filipino design. Since its inception in 1983, Manila Fame has become the country's premier trade show for home, fashion, and lifestyle products. It not only champions local design, but also empowers micro, small, and medium enterprises, or MSMEs, and artisan communities through the Center for International Trade Expositions and Missions, or CITEM. Manila Fame 2024 serves as a vital link of Philippine MSMEs to global buyers and industry leaders, further solidifying the nation's standing as a source of high-quality and sustainable products in the international market. Let us listen to the speech of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. during the event.
I came to, of course, see and to highlight to everyone this design exhibition and design in the many different aspects that this is exercised, only to find that I am a Johnny come lately because my wife has already been shopping. So I came here. All that was left to me is to pay the bill already and pick up her shopping, the usual husband duties. But seriously though, speaking, I have to say that it's so impressive. I mean, I have watched the design community become better and better and better in the Philippines and approaching world class. Now, I would even go so far as to say that now we have, in many cases that I've seen here today, surpassed world class. We're better than others, and that's now the only thing, and that's what DTI is working very hard to do, is to promote it. Makita lang ito, matutuwa na ang mga buyers. The designs are so. First, they're very Filipino, which means they're charming, and they're amusing, and they're entertaining. They're not. Sometimes they're very serious. Sometimes they're not. But you can really see that Pinoy. Well, anyway, maybe because I'm Filipino, gawa ng Pinoy yan. You know, because there's always a touch of humor. There's always a touch of charm. There's always a touch of softness and gentleness. It's something it's something that I'm sure anyone who is in the market for these designs, whether it be furniture or fashion or everything else that we've seen today, I am so confident that we will do well in the world market. So that's what we are trying to. That's what we are trying to promote, and to find ways that your work can be seen abroad, so that now we can and these are small. You are not big, enormous businesses. You started yours. You're generally with medium scale enterprises, but you will be large scale enterprises once the DTI, the government, is able to put you now into not just the local space, but the digital space, so that you are now working in the world market. And it's just up to us to scale up. It's just up to us to keep the progress going, because it's very important that you're continuously creative. But I don't think that that's a problem for Filipinos. And if anything, should anyone think that this is just an exercise in design by people who are interested, there is a very quantifiable aspect to the design industry. The design industry contributes 7.2% of our GDP. And that is, when you translate that into pesos, that's trillions of pesos. So it's not a small thing. So all of the reasons for us to do this and to do it properly are there for the government, for the country, for all of our practitioners. And we will do everything that we can so that the world will know even better how good Filipinos are. Yung galing ng Pinay, makita ng buong mundo. Congratulations to you all for this wonderful exhibit. Good morning.
And you just heard Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Before we conclude our program, Radyo Pilipinas World Service of the Presidential Broadcast Service is heard over the following shortwave frequencies: 15.640 MHz, 17.820 MHz, and 12.010 MHz. You can also visit our Facebook page and YouTube channel at Radyo Pilipinas World Service. You will be able to hear and view our Filipino and English programs, including news updates here in the Philippines. Kindly subscribe, like, and share our posts as well. And that concludes this edition of Dateline Malacañang in Review. For Radyo Pilipinas World Service, this is Leo Magpayo. Good day and stay safe.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.